you have to do. It's the name of the game post-board whenever you're playing something as linear as lands.
All right, we'll see if that works. Noah's taking the first sideboard game. Can he do it again? We'll head down to the feature match. Not only can he do it again, but he'll need to do it again. Their team has lost one match already. Now, teammate Peter Tubergen is up on the modern table, so a lot riding on this legacy match. So I do want to highlight some things from lands here for Timothy Schultz's list. This is a nice one. Experimental Frenzy as a 2-of has made it into his sideboard for this tournament.
Ooh, you know how good that card is with lands and exploration?
Yeah, I've seen Wayward Swordtooth Experimental Frenzy in Standard. This is a souped-up version of that.
Exactly. It's good whenever you expect your synergies to get broken up and you want a high quantity of lands.
Yeah, that's going to be nice. Other than that, he kind of has some standard cards in the side, some cards you'd normally see in a land sideboard. Corrosion Grip, Sphere of Resistance, and Tireless Tracker.
Exactly. So the spheres and the grips are things that are answering very specific problems. Sphere, for example, is just kind of your anti-combo card, right? Most of the combo decks in Legacy are planning to just cast several spells in the same turn, and that's what they're abusing.
All right, so the round is going to come down to the Legacy table. 2-0, Peter Tubergen was the winner on the modern seat with Dredge. So, Noah Walker and Timothy Schultz. Game 3 will decide it. Timothy will be back on the play, however.
And it looks like Walker is going to be starting with fewer cards in his hand. Being careful to shuffle the Legacy stuff there. It's expensive cardboard. There's also a point where, even expensive stuff aside, that's Noah Walker's Grixis deck. You don't want to damage Noah Walker's Grixis cards. That's like damaging King Arthur's sword.
Seven for Schultz. And we'll get things started. Mox Diamond is where Schultz starts. Going to discard a copy of Maze of Ith. A lot of times out of lands you can see some pretty gross starts. Now he goes for Explorations. That's checking a Force of Will.
This sequencing is very nice because every single one of these spells, it could change what Schulz decides to lead on and what other spells he chooses to cast, lands he wants to play, etc., depending on what Walker decides to counter.
This might be one of those really strong starts. Another Mox Diamond is the last card Loam, and it is.
Ooh, this is the opening that really lands wants.
And plays, right, so in turn 1 you just get to play every card in your hand.
It's normal. Don't make it weird.
Yeah, hey. I'm down for this. This seems good. Now, it can be broken up. If Noah has a Surgical Extraction here, right, then Timothy's playing a pretty fair game.
Exactly. Most of what Walker is likely going to be doing here is just digging for a way to actually get to answer this Life from the Loam before it starts going.
And you see Preordained, the play here from Noah. That I would imagine Surgical is what he's looking for, so he puts both to the bottom.
That.
And a Dredge of Life from the Loam. Thespian Stage, Gamble, and Engineered Explosives into the graveyard. Timothy going to cast Life from the Loam to get back that Thespian Stage. Plays the other Maze in his hand and passes.
From the Delver side of things, you just can feel how this is just demoralizing. Watching lands do all of this when you're on the draw, you still need to develop a threat to start applying pressure through all of this. And even when you do, there are 2 Maze of Iths over on Schulz's side. Right,
so Noah's pace of ability to win here is pretty glacial, right? It's the 3rd threat, which will finally get to connect. Now, look, here's... Okay, so he has Surgical Extraction. That takes care of Life from the Loam. Yeah, quickly gets those out of the deck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, get them gone. Gotta double check for any sideboard tech. See if those experimental frenzies are hiding out.
I mean, to be fair, experimental frenzy would be an excellent draw right now for Schulz.
Yeah, so we're in a spot where Schulz got to do all kinds of flashy stuff, but unless Noah Walker's threat is, we'll say, True Name Nemesis,
right,
then these Mazaviths are going to buy Schulz a ton of draw steps, but outside of that, he's not actually doing anything to win the game from here. He has a Thespian stage, but he really needs to find a Dark Depths or something like Tireless Tracker, Experimental Frenzy, etc. in order to start doing anything that actually puts Walker out of the game.
Yeah, the live draws from Schulz, you mentioned there. So Dark Depths, Tireless Tracker, Experimental Frenzy, and I guess Gamble then counts as a live draw, as it can find those.
Well, if you don't have cards in your hand, Gamble can't really find those if your Life from the Loams are gone.
Crop Rotation.
Crop Rotation counts.
Delver of Secrets from Noah. Now his threats, as you mentioned, not too many here. Delver of Secrets, Young Pyromancer, True Name Nemesis, Gurmag Angler, Grim Lavamancer. So True Name is really the key one here. It's the one that gets through all this.
Right, and you could also make a case for something like Young Pyromancer because it tends to go around Mazavith. Say you have 5 tokens attacking in. Each of the one of them says gain 2 life for the Pyromancer, and the other Mazavith prevents 1 of the damage from a token, but then you still take 4.
Delver of Secrets with a fast transform into Insectile Aberration, now a 3/2, staring at multiple copies of Mazavith. Wasteland on Noah's side. Now, because there's 2 copies of Mazavith, I'm not sure that we're going to see Noah try to get these mazes with Wasteland.
No, so here the nice thing that this Wasteland is doing for Walker is it's sort of building, there are house of cards going on each side where, you know, you see Schulz with these Mazaviths going, all right, I'm not dying, and now Noah Walker has this Wasteland, so if Schulz plays a Dark Depths, we go to copy the Dark Depths with the stage, and you respond, and you can either blow up the stage or the Dark Depths, whichever you prefer. So now, Walker is going, all right, I'm not instantly dying.
But this is interesting, a Wasteland of his own for Timothy, and this sets up all sorts of chain reactions.
Oh, exactly. So now the line is if Schulz finds a Dark Depths, he plays the Depths, and then he Wastelands Noah's Wasteland.
Right.
And then if Noah does anything with the Wasteland, Schulz can just respond and then activate this copy of Thespian Stage. So all of that will resolve, and we'll see Schulz with a 20/20 before the Wasteland effect actually kicks in.
All of that, of course, starts with Schulz finding something like Dark Depths.
Just give it a minute.
All right.
It helps now that we see Schulz holding a card in his hand. If it's a card that isn't particularly useful, if you have a few cards in your hand, then Gamble is a live draw.
Then the card becomes really well named.
Oh.
It's just a gamble.
Oh, I wonder if that's why they called it that.
It worked out.
It worked out. Oh, it was all just a big old coinky-dink.
Young Pyromancer from Noah Walker, and Schulz going to use his Wasteland to take Noah off black mana.
This is a spot where Schulz is just trying to buy time. The assumption here is that Schulz is the one with inevitability.
And now Ghost Quarter to take Noah off of all his mana. Does Noah have a basic? No, he does not.
Yeah.
I was like, tough. He picked up the deck, and for a second there, I was thinking, wait,
it's
really?
a free shuffle.
Okay.
It's just a good habit to be into. If you were to say, you know, brainstorm in response or something to that effect, you get to shuffle your deck. So you just get used to saying shuffling if you don't specifically want the top cards of your deck.
Right, because they're playing Legacy, giving your opponent a free shuffle is something that may be harmful or beneficial depending on what's happened during the game.
Exactly.
Like, there's cards on the bottom of a Preordain. Are they ones you wish were back in your deck right now? If so, maybe you should shuffle.
Did we bottom land earlier?
Yeah.
Maybe we want to draw those lands now.
Right, then you actually are supposed to shuffle off this Ghost Quarter.
Exactly. And, you know, there was a shuffle previously the turn that Walker cast the Young Pyromancer. But, see, this is great for Schulz. He's just getting to draw lands. They're just passing back and forth, doing nothing. But Walker can't do anything with the cards that he's drawing, whereas Schulz can do almost anything in his deck.
All right, now things have gotten interesting. The pickup for the turn for Aiden Brier was crop rotation. So he can put together this combo, and with this Ghost Quarter, he might be able to force a 20/20 through.
Oh, we're about to see it.
All right, so the line is Timothy leads by Ghost Quartering the Wasteland.
Exactly, so we see the Ghost Quarter of a Wasteland. Then Noah has to do something with it.
Right, so he attempts to Wasteland the Thespian stage. But now Schulz tapping Mox Diamond and 2 mana. Let's go through this. Here's a green. Here's crop rotation. Sacrifices a Taiga, and now Noah has Force of Will.
Ooh.
This was the risk that Timothy went for here, and because of this, he's going to actually lose a lot.
Yep. So this is a spot, copy the Maze of It, and then it goes away.
Right, so what he was hoping to have happen on Timothy's side was that he would crop rotate for the other half for a Dark Depths, copy it, make a Merit Lage, but now he can't. So not only does he lose the land he sacrificed to crop rotation, but that whole Wasteland chain happens. He loses the Thespian stage.
Exactly, and now Schulz is also taking a damage from this Elemental each turn, which might not seem like a lot, but Delver wins by an increment in increments, so each of these is going to end up mattering. This isn't exactly a fast game we're watching.
And I love this from Timothy. Let's start again. He draws a Thespian stage.
Step 1.
He can copy a Maze of Ith, and that's what he's going to do. Now all the creatures are covered again. Back to Noah Walker we go. 3 copies of Maze of Ith in play, keeping Timothy at 18. Noah still has not found a land. There is some concern on Noah's side, right? If Tabernacle at Pendrell shows up, then that's game.
There are tons of things that just put this out of reach for Walker at this point. Unsurprisingly, having no lands on the battlefield is a big disadvantage.
Now, I did find a land. It's a Wasteland. We see Sheltered Thicket, a cycling land there for Timothy. Engineered Explosives, the pickup.
Ah, yes. Against a 0-drop, a 1-drop, and a 2-drop. Also not particularly attractive when you have an Exploration and a Mox Diamond of your own. You probably have to go for the Pyromancer, but you don't really want to go for the Pyromancer.
Yeah, it looks like Timothy's actually just going to hang on to that. He drew another Thespian stage.
Walker drew a land.
Okay, we're playing again.
We have magic.
We might have magic. Timothy's side is about to make a 4th Maze of Ith.
Or copy Wasteland.
Ooh, do you actually think that's better here?
You could Wasteland that Underground Sea.
Bitter Blossom, the play for Noah Walker.
I think it might be time to EE for
I was going to say, that should get the EE out of Timothy's hand. On end step, that last Thespian stage is going to copy. We'll see what it copies here. So it looks like that one was on Wasteland. So the middle one, the one with the piece of paper, is on Wasteland, and the other one's on Maze of Ith.
Ooh.
Yeah, Engineered Explosives for 2 is the play for Timothy. This should clean up the board nicely. He still gets to keep his 3 copies of Maze of Ith in play.
All right, to 2 creatures. It's good math. Things working out
so far. It's going to take a while. But again, and he sacrificed that Thespian stage on Wasteland to take care of mana. And again, Noah's left with just a Wasteland.
There's a really cute trick that Schulz may have access to where you copy basic forest with Thespian stage and it can't get Wastelanded anymore.
So if Noah wants to Wasteland the Thespian stage, he needs to do it now.
Exactly.
And I actually like that Wasteland from Timothy. One of the cards that he can lose to on this board is True Name Nemesis. So by keeping Noah off Underground Sea, he's really playing around that.
Yep, so there's a point where Walker may even not want to play land since he's not in the middle of dying. He might just want to be a bit more conservative and wait until he has back-to-back lands so he can kind of put that pressure point and say, all right, here's a fetch land, I'm not cracking it, go. And then next turn, crack the fetch and expose the land, play the next land, True Name, hope this is good enough.
Swing for 4, still the creatures getting lost in mazes.
Noah there talking with Donegan, who's actually a very experienced Grixis Delver player himself.
And Noah is going to surgically extract away the Thespian stages now. All right, so the Thespian stages are gone and the life from the Loams are gone.
Tabernacle was in the bottom few cards. Walker just helping Schulz out with this shuffle.
Yeah, what I want to look at is, so neither player is doing a great job of winning at this point. They're both, shoring up these defensive strategies. What's going to break this on either player's side?
So at this point, Schulz may just be looking at winning with Grove of the Burn Willows.
All right, so just Punishing Fire, Grove of the Burn Willows.
Oh, we're going to be here a while.
I guess you can thaw out a Dark Depths if there's a Tireless Tracker in, maybe?
Right, so there are technically lines here, but none of them are fast. And it will likely be a situation where one player ends up conceding to inevitability. But at this point, especially in a team event, you're not going to do that and let down your teammates. A draw is better than a loss. It's much worse than a win.
Whoa. Experimental Frenzy. Well, okay. I was hoping we'd get to see this. Experimental Frenzy, this is the newest addition to the deck, and we're going to get to see it with Exploration in play on a game where he'll have plenty of time.
All right, land.
Top card was Horizon Canopy and Grove of the Burn Willows. Okay, so far, I really like this in the deck. And another exploration. Oh, man, this is just everything I wanted to do with Experimental Frenzy.
All right.
So now I can make 3 lands per turn in a deck with, 38 odd lands in it.
Oh, it's fine. Everything here is fine.
And Noah feeling the woes of no mana, had a Spell Pierce in hand, but he hasn't been able to keep mana on the board for a long time. And now that he's seeing Experimental Frenzy, he's just going to go ahead and discard the Spell Pierce to hand size.
Yeah, what's the point? Well, you're not fighting the card advantage fight anymore, and you also are looking at an opponent who has 10 lands on the battlefield. Not literally 10. You get the idea.
Upkeep, the top card was Punishing Fire. Now Timothy casts Crucible of Worlds off the top of the deck. Now it plays Grove of the Burn Willows off the top and Grove of the Burn Willows off the top. And this is good. This is so dumb. Here's Chalice of the Void on 1.
Close game.
Okay. Well.
Attack with a 1/1. Send a message. Send a message.
When you mentioned Punishing Fire plus Grove of the Burn Willows being the win condition, my first thought was, look at that clock. There's no way Aiden will get to that kind of mana in time.
Absolutely not.
But I think he can do this.
Bog.
Bazooka Bog exiles away Noah's graveyard. Remember, this is with the Loams extracted, with the Thespian stages extracted.
Just looking for Dark Depths.
Draws a copy of Mox Diamond. He discards a Dark Depths. That one had found its way to his hand. But he can play that out of the graveyard.
Oh.
And he will. Dark Depths played out of the graveyard thanks to Crucible.
Gonna go ahead and call that cute.
to be able to get it out of your hand, to discard it to Diamond, bring it back with Crucible. And thawing the Dark Depths seems in reach here as well.
It's very close, but it can definitely be done.
And a Polluted Delta. Noah now has a land.
There's an Echoing Truth in Noah's hand. So there's a chance this goes to a draw.
And the thawing starts to begin. 2 counters off of Dark Depths for Timothy Schulz. Just over 3 minutes remaining. We do want to keep an eye on this clock. And Ghost Quarter. And I love this. I'm going to
Force it.
Yep. He's going to force him to go ahead and crack this polluted delta. And then when he gets a land with it, he's going to Ghost Quarter it again.
Exactly. You just get to keep playing all of these Wasteland, Ghost Quarter, etc. effects out of your graveyard with Crucible of Worlds.
It's really strong. It's the way that you mentioned Echoing Truth. It's a way that he can play around Echoing Truth, as he never lets Noah get to 2 lands.
Right, and this is what you see from the best lands players, is they know they have a mental checklist of, all right, what bases do I need to cover? And then one by one, they just, all right, let's check the Echoing Truth box. Let's check this box with Chalice. They've cast both their surgicals,
right.
So we'll check those boxes.
And you see, using that Crucible, Schulz then did, for 2nd and 3rd land drops, brought back the Ghost Quarter out of the graveyard and found another land out of the graveyard.
That's 4 counters off Dark Depths this turn.
Yeah.
And let's see, there's 8. So 4
Next,
this
one
turn.
more turn. I think we can do it.
4 next turn. Is that enough?
And in the situation where somehow Noah gets lands in play, I like that Timothy has also found Choke in the meantime.
Oh, this game might not literally have concluded, but it is over.
And now it does literally conclude. Noah sees the cards and it's going to pick them up. So the team of Timothy Schulz, Brandon Dollaway, and Aiden Brier pick up the win. They improve to 2-0. And what a look at Experimental Frenzy.